Hello and welcome to Marketing Speak. I'm your host, Stefan Spencer, and today we have Ali Najafian with us. He's the CEO and founder of Alfred Intelligent, which owns and operates the brand Trendy Butler. So trendybutler.com is this artificial intelligence powered, well, I'll let Ali describe it, but as a man who needs a great stylist to pick out clothes, that's where the AI comes in. Its name is Alfred. It does the thinking for you if you're not really into fashion. Like, I need help. My wife does a lot of my thinking for me in terms of my wardrobe, but I've used Trendy Butler and gotten some really great outfits from it as well. Ali has been in the online space for a very long time. He started in 1994 with his very first proprietary online shopping cart system, creating that from scratch and selling that company for a considerable fee to a big firm. Then Ali went to ESPN and Clear Channel and other companies and worked with some pretty big brands and artists that you may have known or heard of, like Madonna, Alanis Morissette, The Matrix, Kill Bill, One Tree Hill. Went to Maverick Records, then Warner Brothers, worked with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Wow, that's impressive. And Green Day and Michael Bublé and My Chemical Romance. Wow, amazing. So I didn't even know all this cool stuff about Ali, and I worked with him. He was a client for some time, helping with SEO for Trendy Butler. So great to have you on the show, Ali.
Well, thank you, Stefan, for having me. It's a real pleasure to have me here. I listen to your podcast, so it's great to be on it.
Well, it's great to have you on it, and I've been trying to get you on this show for a while now. I'm really happy to have that finally come to pass. I'd love for our listeners to understand a bit more about the under the hood of Trendy Butler. How is this
Absolutely
powered by an AI where all your competitor subscription box
fashion services,
the different subscription box companies, they seem to rely on human stylists, and you've got an AI?
Yeah, so a lot of them, all of them, practically most of them, let's just say, use a lot of AI to make their decision making. Except with us, we rely heavily on our AI. Obviously, there is still stylists, because as much as you could throw as much AI as you want onto this, there's an element of creativity that's needed for a person to be applying to this, and you never could control sometimes of edge cases of, let's say, the system picking an orange short with a purple shirt. I mean, you got to sometimes stop it. So most of it is actually done through our essentially our AI system that essentially kind of picks these clothes for people. Now, the way it works under the hood, it's a little different from how others do it. I'm sure you heard of like Stitch Fix and Trunk Hub and all these guys. The little difference is that instead of having stylists being assisted by this AI to make these decisions, we do it the other way around. We have the AI make the decisions, and the stylists really look and see if it made these maybe improper decision making. Now, the way it works is usually how people attack the problem is, or others attack the problem, is that they use essentially each person, they bring them up and then look at their historical, because throughout the process when you sign up, you essentially are asked multiple questions, and those questions essentially helps us guide our styling methods and questionnaires. Now, the way we do it is we turn this process upside down. When we acquire a customer, we ask them a set of questions, and those questions could be from, just like you answered, your sizing, your preference in patterns, the type of pants that you like, And then we go a little further. We look at your occupation. We look at your location. Your location tells us a lot about you. It tells us the type of clothes that you want. Like, if you send someone in Florida a heavy jacket, I'm sure they're not going to like it. So location makes a lot of sense. Occupation makes a lot of sense. Like a lawyer would dress different from a student, and so on. So that kind of gives us a understanding of who you are. But in the reverse side of it, when we enter products into our system, we describe it. It's a system that we came up with called synaptic links. And what synaptics are essentially a method for you to describe a product. Meaning, for example, the shirt that you have on has buttons, has long sleeves, has collar and a certain pattern. Well, each one of those are essentially entered as a synaptic into our system. And it goes a little bit further than that. It looks at stretchability. I mean, this is something that as a human, you just kind of guess and add a synaptic to it. And the material, like it's made, let's say, probably like a 95% cotton and maybe 5% poly. So material gives us a good understanding of how much is it stretch and what are the kind of sizing. And then obviously the brand. Each brand from brand to brand has different sizes that are associated to them, and each one has their own measurements. So we use all that data point and think about you have a cluster of synaptics, and these clusters of synaptics are basically put into a vector, and kind of we take a whole group of people that have similar preferences, we call them tribes, and are able to analyze those people and analyze the products and the synaptics attached to them, and be able to make smart decision making as to see which products matches to which person. Now, a lot of AI comes from the throughput. So in order for AI to be accurate and be powerful, it's the data that comes in and the data that it's put through it has to be accurate. So throughout the time, and we've had tons of inputs from our customers, and the feedback from returns and exchanges basically makes our process of picking clothes more accurate, meaning the longer you use the process, the longer you use the system, and the more people use it, the more accurate it gets based on the throughput. For example, when we get a new brand or a new product in, we may send out 33% of that product to our member base. Based on the reactions, let's say some people say, oh, this fits a little bigger, or hey, this didn't match. We took that throughput and that understanding and reflect on the next set of people that get it. And now we're a little bit smarter about how we send the item. Now, we use this really, really religiously, and how we kind of come up with these KPIs really gives us an advantage of seeing what works and what doesn't. And we have certain KPIs. Like, for example, in the clothing industry, the return rate online is right now between 25 and 30%. That's what they say that it is. Initially, when we started the company, obviously because we didn't have enough data and we wasn't as refined our methods, we had higher return rates. But now we're looking at between 3.6 to 6% return rates. So that kind of tells us whether the models are working. And now every time we build the model, though, things change. So basically, that fluctuation, those KPIs will tell us whether we have to rebuild the model and something that went wrong within the basis of how we made our decision making. The other things we kind of look at is how we purchase. So the same process that we use to pick clothes for our members, we use to purchase products. So when a vendor comes to us and has, let's say, a blue shirt, we'll enter those synaptics into our system, and our system gives us a confidence score, how many people in our database would want to have that product. And based on that, this is how we make our decision making on our purchasing. Now, the way we look, the industry standard on a product being on the shelf and being profitable has to be less than 90 days. So anything over 90 days, you're at a loss. So on the onset of the company, we said 45 days. In 45 days, everything in our shelves or in our warehouse that we purchase has to be gone. And we look at that rate, how fast inventory is turning, as our KPI for our prediction algorithms and seeing how well we're assigning products. And right now, medium, large Excel usually churn faster. So we're looking at about a 5-day turnaround. And on double XLs and smalls, we're looking at 20 days. So it means that we're doing a good job as far as how fast we turn those inventories. And it shows us that we're predicting our purchasing patterns in a better method. So that's how we use AI to kind of optimize ourselves. And we also use it to kind of pick and do all the other things that we do in the background. When it goes further than that, there's multiple steps. We even look at it as far as when we should email someone, right? Let's say you've been a member for 3 months and you haven't really heard about us, or maybe you haven't had interactions with us. We try to invoke that interaction because we know that if you don't have those interactions, people tend to drop off. So we increase our LTV by making sure that there's a constant communication. And based on our past historicals, we know that the people that are in the platform and they're in the system and they're changing their style and constantly updating the information tend to stay longer. We've had people from since day one that we launched the company are still members. And we've analyzed those guys, and we see that they are logging in every month or so and they're modifying their style. So it's great to have that. But it's the data, right, that makes us better at our job.
Right. And I was just at Abundance 360 a few weeks ago and heard this quote that I thought was quite profound. It goes something like this: there are two kinds of businesses that will be around at the end of the decade. Those who are using AI in their business, like a lot, and those who are out of business.
Well, true. Yeah, I mean, it's becoming something. It's almost a necessity. It's a necessity. It's a tool that you need to use, and it just makes it gives you that edge that you need over others, right? And you look at we're like right now talking to a lot of traditional big box retailers. We always ask them. It's the funniest question for us to ask is, so what are the tools that you use to predict what to buy? Well, yeah, so we have this buyer, and we look at his rate of turn on the inventory. That's how we know. It's like, okay, you could use the data. You have it. You don't have to look at guessworking. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So using your data and collecting more data so that you can use that data for training an AI or machine learning algorithms is so important. And people are just pretty clueless about that. It's important for the folks who are listening here to understand how vital machine learning and AI is to the longevity of their business.
Yeah, you can optimize so much about your business if you know better, and you can make fast decisions. Sometimes you have all the data. I mean, you could do it without data. I mean, without AI, sometimes you could pull the data down and you could kind of go through it, sift through it. I think it's just a shortcut to sometimes let those decision makings be done by a little bit of a help.
Yeah.
So
where would you suggest somebody listening start with playing around with AI? TensorFlow? Would you suggest they just use an app that has AI as its basis?
So you start TensorFlow, you're going to go very deep right off the bat, and sometimes it may not apply. So we used a couple of things. There's the guy that actually wrote the algorithms for our initial one was the guy that wrote the algorithm for Netflix, for example. And he has a system called Light FM, and we use it. And it's decision making on multiple levels. We use that, but if you're gonna go that deep, then you're gonna right off the bat. It may not be too helpful for you, but there's a lot of tools out there that you could use to start training models. For example, one of the things that we do is looking at what are the products that you should display in the front of your site, right? So for example, if you go to something like Zara, a website like Zara, you're not going to go through every page, right? And so what they do is they do a ranking algorithm to basically see what are the products that are, people are going to be looking for, right? And there's certain key metrics or certain trigger points or signals that they will probably have a certain product present to you on the first page of your browsing. So if there's a company called Sail Through, you could use something like that, or you could use multiple tools out there that you might not have to do the initial engineering needed until you kind of get a hypothesis. Even the first version of Trendy Butler, when we kind of launched, was really based on logic bases, right? It was certain logics, and if those logics met, then cool. And then we started getting more and more in depth and kind of understanding, okay, what are the data points that are needed for us to actually do this in a more optimized method. It took about 8 terabytes of data for us on our customers' stock profile to be able to train a model that was accurate enough for us to be able to pick. So I think the MVP itself has to be, has to be a lot lighter, and could be a lot of tools out there that could be used to, be able to help you with this.
Right. So just figuring out what to feature on your homepage, especially if you have a lot of traffic, is something that should not be based on a gut feel. It should be based on data and on an intelligent algorithm to help you with that decision making. I know that Zappos, for example, they assign a dollar value to every square inch, every pixel on their homepage.
Right.
And each department or business head or whatever, like it's holacracy. It's all kind of, I don't know, there's no hierarchy to the company. But you have to make a business case that you want a link on the homepage. And even if it's going to generate a lot of revenue for the company in terms of, let's say, SEO, you have to not just make a justification, you have to use internal budget to buy that space on the homepage. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't believe in that. I think that's kind of silly, but that goes to show that how powerful it is to, how strategic you need to be in thinking about what goes on the homepage and what way.
Yeah, and even if you go down to, like, for example, I mean, Zappos is part of Amazon, and if you look at like some of those AWS AI tools that they have, you could use a lot of those tools there. Like, for example, if you want to do lots of NLP, like, so one of the things we do, we run these NLP algorithms through our interactions with the customer, right?
Yep. So natural language processing, not neuro-linguistic programming.
No, not neuro-linguistic, like the other one, the AI side of it, natural language processing. We'll do a lot of that because we have certain open areas where you could enter notes, or we look at interactions. Like, we pull down all the Zendesk interactions through an API, and we'll run NLP on through it. And sometimes sentiment analysis is a little hard on those things because you sometimes have people that are very sarcastic about certain things. So those guys may not work. But we look at keywords, and we'll try to see if something worked, or try to find essentially signals of products, signals of people asking us for certain product types. It helps our product development. And so we use Amazon Lex for that. It was easier for us just to use Lex to do this. And Amazon Lex is the same, algorithms that you use for Alexa. You can actually use Polly from Amazon AWS, and that's the same thing as what Alexa uses to speak back to you, right? So there's a lot of tools out there that you could use, and you don't have to over-engineer everything. There's, it's a different world. If we were talking maybe like 10 years ago, I would tell you, okay, this is going to be a little harder. But now it's becoming so much easier for you to use some of these tools out there.
Yeah. Like it's not just Amazon Lex. There's Google Cloud has their natural language API that you can sign up for.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, even with Google Cloud, I mean, we use different ones, right? So we use AWS for certain tools, and we use Cloud for their vision algorithms, and those are great. And we do some other type of, analysis. We try to do analysis on, this one kind of failed, but we try to do analysis on the product to see if a certain set of people like a certain set of products, and we try to see if we could predict that based on imagery, and it didn't really work out. But So some things has a limitation to it. We try to get too cute with it, but but we use Google's vision algorithms to kind of do this. So
Yeah. Now, on the Google Cloud Natural Language API sales page, it talks about Auto ML. For our listener who's not familiar with Auto ML, do you want to give a quick explanation?
So on that one, I haven't really used the AutoML because you know, we've have our own set of things that we've been using ourselves. But it's interesting. I mean, something I have to look at actually. I haven't really used it actually.
Okay.
But it's probably AutoML is probably something that you could kind of train it, and you don't have to worry about the under the hood as well as like what is it that you have to do in order for you to train an algorithm, right? Because it's kind of like Watson. It tries to build tools to see if like you can make it easier for you to just upload a set of data points and see if you could find patterns through it. You kind of have hints of that in your Google Sheets. I don't know if you ever used on the right side of it. They try to figure out like certain links between data and see if they could find a pattern. It's a big topic point. It's like kind of democratizing this machine learning as for everyone. So it's great.
Yeah. Now another thought that talk about how much data that we have. If we've got a website, we probably have an internal search engine. Even just an informational site will have an internal search engine. And then people are conducting searches on that yield 0 results. Those are failed searches. So why not go through your top failed searches, the ones that are most popular and keep showing up, create content around those, or add those different synonyms and so forth to the pages that are most appropriate. So if people are searching for bespoke suit, and you don't use that term, you use custom suit, put the word bespoke in there because you're returning a failed search result for that, and enough people are searching for it. So is there any kind of AI to help with that?
Well, we did for us. We have another site, not in Trendy Butler, but we have another Desilux site, which for more of luxury goods. But for that, we use the search result as a method for you to basically suggest new products, right? And suggest products that are common and close to it. And we use something like Sell-Through to do this, right? The same algorithm you use to show what's on the front page, you could use that as an opportunity for you to upsell another product that they were kind of searching close enough for. You can actually use the same like Elasticsearch or something like that, so that like you could kind of see something that's close enough and be able to bring back results, but do it in a reverse way where you're almost like looking for something, but although they didn't find that specific item, you could suggest something that's close enough. And that's an opportunity. I think we use that as an opportunity for those search terms. Yeah. So that's what we've done in the past.
Oh, that's cool.
And it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, pages like, 404 pages and certain not finds on searches and all, those are all great opportunities for you to upsell them on other items. We use those all the time, especially on like 404 pages sometimes, right? We kind of know what they're going for. We used to, the rule of thumb is never expire pages, and you're the SEO guy, so you know this better than everybody else, right? But even though you have that, sometimes there's certain pages that gets indexed that you kind of don't remember that you should have kept it. So we're like, okay, if that ever happens, let's just build a tool that we could kind of predict what they were trying to go after and be able to somehow optimize those pages. So we've done that before.
Oh, that's cool.
And it works well.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember this was ages and ages ago. We had a client called Designer Exposure. And what the founder would do is she had these relationships with all these different celebrities in Hollywood and Beverly Hills and Bel Air and all that. And she would go into their homes with a big wad of cash, and she would buy stuff out of their wardrobe that they wore once at the Grammys or something. They couldn't be caught dead in that again, right? Because they've worn it once out there in the world. So she'd buy these $10,000, $50,000 dresses and things that would be a great deal for her, but then she could sell it at a nice profit, but still a lot less than what you'd pay for it new. And they were one-offs. So once that item is sold on the site, it's gone. It's out of stock permanently. But we didn't want to expire those pages because they were bringing in lots of traffic, designer Chanel dress or whatever, right? And so we would use those pages as an entry point that would say, oh, sorry, this one's out of stock, it's sold, but we have these other ones that you might want to check out. These are also Chanel, and these are, just came in last week or whatever. So that was very successful at least back in the this was well over a decade ago, but that was
I mean, you were ahead.
Yeah.
Look, limited quantity products and, things that are like kind of exclusive for now, the big hot topic, right? It's like, the secondary markets, and there's more and more companies that are offering limited goods. So I think that's a great method to, be able to capture, products that are sold out. It makes sense. In those limited goods stuff, so we're kind of going, we have another product that we're coming up with, another vertical that's in luxury goods. And there's just limited supply of those goods. That's how they keep the prices of those goods up. But then if you just simply put sold out, you're going to lose out on a sale. And if you lose out on a sale, it's hard to acquire customers. So, and you have to keep them very engaged. So that just makes more sense, offering them another product.
Yeah.
So
now
you do so much work to get people in, so might as well keep them.
Yeah, right. Now there are a bunch of different companies that specialize in AI for retail, and they do different things like deep tagging or computer vision, all sorts of interesting stuff. And one of them that I heard about at this Abundance 360 event was called Syte, S-Y-T-E. And I know they have competitors like LeapMind and Deep Vision and so forth. So what do you see happening in this space? Are you familiar with those guys at Syte?
So Syte I'm not familiar with, but I've seen so many of these kind of guys because think about it, I've seen companies that are trying to tag products in video, like for example in YouTube, right? There's a lot of product that's being displayed and you kind of want to tag I think and then these deep tagging with understanding what's in the imagery and trying to figure out those products. I mean, it's a big business, and that happens over and over again. There's like a couple of companies actually approached us. I forgot the name of those guys, but they were looking at videos, right? They were saying we have a group of these bloggers and they're going to put up these certain videos. And if you come to us and give us your product, should something be close enough, we'll tag you guys. Now in our business, in Trendy Butler's business, it doesn't work because we're styling service and they're not selling individual product. But if we were selling individual products, it would make sense. Now, there's a user adaptation period. I think people are not used to shopping that way yet. Although the people are getting, the whole. You remember the whole television and was it QVC and all these guys? It's
right.
That's what it is, but clickability and through content. There's a couple of companies that are going after that. There's one, for example, that I just talked to is called Live Rocket. But the way they're doing this is, instead of doing the whole boring QVC type of videos, they actually have live performances. Like, for example, maybe someone like Ariana Grande is performing and she has something on. And what she has on, they've tagged and you could purchase it. It's interesting. Now, auto tagging with vision algorithm, it's a little bit hard, right? You're not going to get the exact product. You're going to get something similar. But it's interesting. I don't know if people's habits and shopping behavior is going to go that way yet. These are things that people are trying to experiment with.
Yeah.
But it's a problem that people have been trying to go at this for years.
I think it's inevitable. I think as augmented reality becomes just part of our lives, we will experience, let's say, a Broadway show, and we'll wonder like, what's that main character's the shoes, and where can I get it? And you just
somebody has to perfect the medium, right?
Yeah.
So I think online, just on your TV watching it, yeah, that's cool. You just have to get used to it. But on augmented reality, amazing. Yes, if I see something on someone and I want it, and I could kind of click it and see what that product is.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. It's one of those things, like augmented reality. Once it's perfected, and the medium for it is, been done great. And I know Apple and a bunch of people are working on this. I saw the contact lenses, for example, at CES that they were kind of pushing, and all these other stuff. Once that becomes something that's a product, like a consumer product that you could use, and it's not test, and I think augmented reality will change everything, especially e-commerce.
Yeah.
I think e-commerce will change by so much. There's a lot of companies. I mean, if at CES, and one of these guys we're partners with is like these magic mirrors, right? There's a company called ULC that we're partners with, and what they try to do is they try to transpose a garment on top of you in a mirror, which is pretty darn cool, right? What if you could tomorrow get up, go in front of a mirror, and be able to sift through all your products? And those kind of technology kind of gives you a glimpse into the future of how e-commerce is going to be, right?
And it's not far future. We're talking like a few years from now. I got a demo of Mojo, which just came out of stealth a week ago or 3 weeks ago, something like that. It was just right out of stealth, like the previous week, and they were demoing at Abundance 360. So it's a contact lens that you can get this augmented reality experience, and you can there's a whole UI for like you stare at something, and then it can tell that you're staring at it, and then it pulls up some different menu options and things. It was wild experiencing different aspects of this thing, and it'll be out in the next couple of years. It'll be expensive.
It's amazing,
but it'll be around for everybody, and affordable probably in the next 5 years, or less. And that's going to transform how people shop online. Everywhere is going to be an opportunity to shop. You're going to see an outfit that somebody's wearing on the subway, and you're like, I like that. What is that?
Yeah. See, that's what makes the difference, right? And I think it was Mojo that I saw too. I think that will change the whole experience. You're no longer kind of stuck in this box of your monitor or your phone. You're now interacting with the world. And man, if everybody is waiting for hovering cars or skateboards, I think this is like the future. This is what makes is exciting, because now you get to interact with the world around you through a lens of like a digital lens, and that's exciting.
Yeah,
that changes the world.
Yeah.
So
how are you changing the way that you market based on AI? Like you told me a little bit about how you email based on AI to maximize the lifetime value. Like what else are you doing that is at all machine language or AI based?
So targeting, obviously, it's the key one, right? Understand who are the audiences that have the highest CLV. So what we did is there's a great professor out of Wharton, Peter Fader, that came up with the concept of CLV, and it's these segmentation of your customers and understanding how long do they stay and what are those customers that are your highest valued customers. And by understanding those customers, you understand that, hey, you need more of this group of people. Therefore, using that to essentially enhance your marketing efforts. We have a subset of people, the most obscure things like, regions and all that. Yeah, sure, those are given. Everybody does that. But, certain really obscure things, people that are into a certain, in certain music or certain type of events tend to have higher CLV. Now, why? It's because maybe they have something in common, But these are the data points that we try to retrieve from our past historicals of what's been successful for us. So understanding your lifetime value of your customers and segmenting them correctly will create a sub list of people, and then we'll try to find more of those people through audiences and other methods of targeting them. Now, that's through Facebook and Google. It's really easy to do that. Obviously, you could upload them and kind of create lookalikes. But we've gone a little further now. We're looking at beyond Facebook and Google and looking at what are experiential things that we could do. What are places that people are going? How can we, be able to kind of communicate with them? What are the type of blogs that are writing about those kind of topic points? And how can we acquire, articles in those blogs? So using those data points to kind of change our targeting methods. If you ask us who's your target market, we'll say, this is our, most basic answer. Oh, guys between 25 and 34. It's just such a bad answer. The best answer is like being so targeted that it's not that. Maybe it's that 26-year-old guy that's walking on the Hollywood Boulevard that has a Herschel backpack or something like that. Yeah, right. So it has to be more targeted.
And a bulldog.
That's how we use, edible dog. Exactly. So yeah, exactly. So those data points really gives us the insights we need to target that right person. So
yeah. So even just starting with uploading your customer list or your email list to Facebook and generating a lookalike audience, which is pretty much as easy as a click of a button. That's kind of a machine learning type of algorithm, I would guess. Over at Facebook, it's a black box. We don't get to see what is inside it. So
that's the problem, right?
But it's pretty powerful to see that now you have 10 or 100 times as many people that were on your list that you can now market to through Facebook ads because you've created this lookalike audience. And it's so darn simple. So many people still haven't done it.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that the same thing with Google, right? And so on. And I think that's the simplest method, right? And then when you want to get a little bit more granular, you start to go and dissect your data more and understand your data more. And so we use machine learning to kind of basically retrieve those data points that humans will just look over it, will gloss over it, right? The commonalities between people, you'll look at, and as a human, you're going to look at it in a list somewhere. You're going to even look at a chart, and you're going to gloss over it. But sometimes our system will say, hey, this we see this set of people have the highest LTV with them for you. You should find more of that. That's how you should target better.
Yeah.
So
spending money on Facebook and Google. Facebook and Google are very expensive and are getting more expensive as time goes on. So it's really important to do the right targeting and have the right kind of ad copy and so forth so that it performs.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you're going to lose money or you're going to have to stop advertising and then your competitors win.
Yeah.
Have you found that you've had to massively increase your ad budgets over time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the difference between 2015 and now it's immense. I think it's quadruple the price now to market. And it's because, as it becomes, easier for everybody to start selling. I mean, Shopify made it so much easier. There's a million e-commerce sites out there. There's more people to sell products and people realizing that, hey, I could use Facebook to ramp up real fast or Google real fast. But, that is one part of it. And then you realize, I'm competing with like 1,000 other, 100,000 other people, or millions of other people. I have to look at how I market. And you could throw money, sure, at Facebook and Google, and you could keep doing this, but you're building a brand. You're going to end up, kind of pricing yourself out of the market. So what we've done and what we've noticed, we used to do this in 2016. We used to throw tons of money. We still do. Put a lot of money into Facebook and Google.
Well, how much is a lot from your standpoint?
When we were doing it, but maybe 600,000 a month minimum.
600,000 a month.
Yeah, $600,000 a month.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. It's like,
Are you still spending 6 figures a month with Facebook and Google?
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, but not as much. We've reduced it by a
Okay,
lot,
but
by a
still, it's
lot.
six figures
Yeah,
a month. That's
yeah,
seven
it's still a
figures a
lot.
year in ad
Yeah,
costs. Holy
absolutely.
cow, that's a lot.
That is a lot. But then when you look at it, like, oh, there's a diminishing return here. That's as ads gets more and more expensive, your payback periods gets longer, right? Because we look at how much is it required to a customer, and how long does the customer have to stay on for us to get a payback, right? And if your payback period is more than 2 months, then you definitely are not making money. So what we've done is looked at said, okay, you know what? We should reduce that. We should reduce the amount of money we spend and spend the time building value and building brand recognition, right? Because the less people know you, the more expensive it is to market to them. So what we've done in the past year, and actually this is our trajectory now, is looking at how do we market, who are the people that we want to market to, and what is our ethos behind the company? Why do people want to spend their money with us? And that's a big factor, because you could go into this real whirlpool, and it's like of spending money on Facebook and Google because it's so easy for you to acquire customers. But at a certain point, it's going to get so expensive that you're going to say, "Oh, I wish I did some brand building." I mean, look at Elon Musk with Tesla, and look at Apple and all these guys. I don't think they have to spend much on Facebook and Google. They have brands that are built that you go actively and look at what they're doing, trying to be a part of. So we're looking at ourselves saying, okay, we want to be a brand that people look at and say, you know what? Those guys are. I like to be synonymous with them. I like to use their services because I like them. I like their ethos. I like their product. They show me value, and we look at that a lot. And we also look at NPS, Net Promoter Scores, right? Because if we provide a service that you go tell like 10 of your friends, then that's the correct way of doing it. Because at the end of the day, you could buy 1,000 customers, but if they're most of our detractors, then you're not really building a brand, nor you're building a business that's gonna flourish in the future. So that's the key part that we've realized. Hey, we should spend more time thinking about those things.
So what's one thing that you're doing that is helping build your brand?
So yeah, content creation, right? So we've looked at historicals, and we've noticed that if you're not resonating with people and you're not providing value over a product, then you're not on the top of their mind, right? So what we've been doing is, and we've actually looked at this, we've done A/B testing. If when you're constantly communicating with your members or customers, you're actually creating a relationship with them, and that relationship helps you establish a longer relationship as you go on. It's not just your product. You're not just sending them something every month and saying, you know what, I'll see you next time I charge you. You're also providing value. So I think content creation is big. And then the other thing is ethos. Like a business like us, I'm sure there's everybody's talking about how much waste do we have in this world, and how are you contributing to landfills and all those other things, right? So a lot of our research in the last year has been, okay, how do we not be a contributor to a landfill? I think it's about 8% of everything that goes into landfills are fashion, and about 60-70% are not used. And most of the goods that you use, like poly and all these other stuff, takes about 300-400 years for it to kind of biodegrade, right? So be conscientious, be conscientious of those. And if you are genuine about your concerns, and you're actually as a company doing something, create ethos with that, and kind of people resonate with that. So
I actually read an article recently about how bad it's gotten with fashion contributing to the landfills. It's because of fast fashion, like H&M and all that. So much is going into the landfill, and it's affecting other industries as well, like this entire city in India that survived and subsisted on taking donated clothing and turning it into blankets. They have to find another business to be in. Like all these people out of work because the cheap blankets that are brand new out of China are undercutting the recycled blankets that they're making out of donated clothes.
Wow.
You know, so
wow.
it's a crazy world.
Yeah, but see, we had to sit down and say, okay, how are we offering value? What are we doing as a company that is contributing, and not just, it's not about all about the I guess the the P&L and what your end of the year financials are. We have to look at it as that too. And if you're truly are offering value and you're offering something else beyond just financial gain, then I think it resonates with people, and I think you should do that. So as a company, this is a step that we're taking to make sure that we're conscientious of those things. We look at everything. We actually we were looking at like breaking down like faux leather, right? And everybody says vegan leather. We looked at the process on how you make faux leather. It's actually really bad for the environment. So sure, it's not leather, but you're killing a lot more other things, while making it. So it was interesting. So it's like been eye-opening for us, and we've been doing so much research to understand how do we impact around us and our environment, and also people, right? We're making all the factories that we use for manufacturing our clothes to sign an oath that they're not using, child labor or sweatshops or any of those things. And actually, we've found through this process of actually visiting them and seeing who some of these people are, we actually cut out some of our factories because of that. But we don't really talk about it, but we have. It's better for inner company culture to know that you're not this big, bad, evil company and you care. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, you talked about content creation being a differentiator for you guys. What sort of examples of content, campaigns, or pieces have really made a difference, or they're just standout examples that you could mention for us?
Articles are obviously really easy, like how-tos, but then we've gone further. Like we thought, you remember you had some of our clothes, right? How do people know, do people know how to wear something, right? So one of the things we've started doing is looking at the combination of clothes that we're sending some of our members, and then sending them examples of how they should wear it, right? Super simple. But that increased our LTV actually, and it's because we can send a piece of garment and they won't know how to put it together, and so they think that, oh, this fashion is not for me, right? So by doing that, creating instructionals, videos, and creating informative content for them has actually helped our members, and that's one good key one. Videos, sometimes really short form videos are better because we know men and they don't have patience for lots of things, so we make them short, and it actually works better. And really fast cuts and kind of instructionals. I think instructionals has been really good key part of us being able to provide better service for our customers. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I remember bringing in a stylist to do a wardrobe closet cleanse, I guess is what it's called. And the stuff that was remaining after the closet cleanse, she was like, all right, well, you can match this up with this. You can actually wear this under a sweater. And there's like, I had no idea. I'd only worn it one way, and I could match it with all these different colors. I could wear it in different ways. I could unbutton it and wear a T-shirt underneath. And I was like, whoa, that's there's 5 totally different looks from that same shirt or whatever. That's very helpful, because I didn't have that sense of style or creativity, and I had to take photos to remember all these different options. Yeah.
No, but you do good. And I always see you're very stylish.
That's my wife. She's in charge of my wardrobe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're cheating. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But that just having that informational method and just giving back, just it helps our members. So therefore, it helps us because they use our service longer.
Yeah.
I think that's why they came to us. So, but just simply putting a bunch of clothes in a box and sending it doesn't cut it. So
Yeah.
so yeah.
And can a member converse with a bot and get styling advice, or is it real humans that they're conversing with?
Yeah, so we did the whole chatbot thing. The chatbot thing is great for very vanilla, simple questions, right? But when you get closer, I think a little bit of a human touch will help that. Although a machine picks for you, sometimes you want to have a human to interact with. But needless to say, chatbots filters a lot of the simple questions, right? When do I get my box? Here's the tracking number. Or can I exchange? Or how do I do that? Or even creating return labels and stuff. Because those are simple automated things that we could do, and it just doesn't need humans. And I think humans in those cases frustrates people. They rather have what they ask right there fast. You don't want to wait around. But for more detailed things like, we do get a lot of emails with people saying, or chats about people saying, oh, how do I wear this? I got this thing I don't know how to wear. We'll have people actually talk to them. And it works a lot better and increases our customers engagement. So yeah.
I'm curious, why is your AI named Alfred?
Oh, the Batman. Batman, Alfred,
right.
always took care of Batman, right? I always loved Batman as a character, so Alfred just made sense for me.
Okay.
Now we do have an investor keeps on calling him Jeeves. So and even actually emails. I don't know why Jeeves, because Ask Jeeves, I have no idea, but he keeps calling him Jeeves, and I'll keep telling him no, it's Alfred, and it's funny. But yeah, that's what we call him.
Got it.
And also it's called Alfred Intelligent AI. It's where and sometimes people make we try to play around because sometimes AI is used too much. Like everything is not AI all the time. So I say, that one's not AI. That one's Alfred. He's doing it. Some guy we have in the basement doing some things. So I always use that as a joke too.
Yeah, occasionally you slide a pizza underneath the door, and then he'll slide pizza, or he'll slide the empty box plus some code underneath the door back at you. Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
So a few more things I wanted to talk about here before we close out the episode. So robotic process automation, RPA.
Yep.
What can you tell us about RPA
Absolutely.
that's important for our listener to know?
Sure. I think I think we talk about AI a lot, but I think RPAs are becoming as important. And I think we're at the very beginning of it. I mean, they've been around for a while, but I think it's becoming more and more important to our day-to-day inner business workings. If you really look at it, I always tell everybody there's three things that kind of make a business successful. And if you could take care of two of those, I think the third thing is easy for you to kind of overcome. One is marketing. The second one is inventory, and the third one is overhead. And your OPEX and CAPEX usually becomes commerce. I mean, throughout as your business grows, you hire more and more people, and you kind of lose track of optimizing. So we use robotic process automations to optimize the repetitive work that people have to do in our office. One of the things we do is actually kind of creepy, but we do it. We record someone's screen for a week. And we look at what are those repetitive items that they do, and we analyze them. We literally sit there and analyze them. Not the whole week. We won't sit there for a week, but we'll take snippets of it, of things that they do, and see how often they do this. And then we see that, hey, is there a way for us to automate it? Now, the reason RPAs are great is because you have two types of RPAs. You have UI RPAs, and you have ones that backend RPAs. The UI ones are certain things like that doesn't have APIs or it's hard to interact with. We'll use the UI to do this, right? So it's mimicking human clicks and mimicking human interaction, and it's doing certain things that are repetitive. Other things are the backend ones are as simple as looking at invoices. For example, we'll produce a PO. We send it to one of our vendors, and the vendor will confirm it and say, okay, I'm sending the 10 of this shirt, for example. When the shirts get to our warehouse, they'll count it in, and they'll send us a report back how many they counted in. Now, if there is a discrepancy in that process, there is an interaction that has to happen. Now your flow is broken. What we do is an interception of RPA will intercept that email from the warehouse. It'll look at, hey, there was 9 that was counted in of this shirt. There was actually 10 in the PO. There's a problem. It'll send an email out to our supplier saying, hey, you only sent me 9. This is what we were counted in. Therefore, we're going to pay a little less. We're going to pay 1 less. And then email accounting and essentially give an updated invoice amount. That whole thing is also mimicking our production person's interaction. So it's coming from our production person's email. So everybody thinks it's a human, but really it's a system that's in between, that's interacting with everybody. And that right there is a simple example of how you could just cut out a minuscule thing that somebody doesn't have to do. It's annoying. They don't really need to do this. They don't need to do the math. Interaction is there, and it's great.
Are you using Zapier for this or some other tech?
No, we built the platform ourselves.
Oh, right.
We built our own framework to do this. And the reason we built it is part of Alfred is like we're trying to build a cohesive application that does all these different things, right? One of the things we use, other things we do, which is you could do it easier, and there's a couple of applications, but we do it this way because of our warehouse. Your common denominator in all these businesses is warehouses are always behind. Not Amazon, I mean, that's what they do, but usually when you have a third-party 3PL, right, a 3PL, you usually have some of them that are not as advanced. So then you have to make up for that. So one of the things we have is we have an RPA that checks every tracking number of every package that was sent. And if a package is not moving from a certain time, so for example, it says, label created, but the label doesn't have a movement. We'll then create a tally, and it has trigger points, like in 48 hours. If it doesn't have a movement, email this, the warehouse manager saying, hey, why are these items not being moved? Now, it's tedious for a person to do it, but for RPA, it's easy to do. And so we do a lot of those. And within every one of those interactions, we mimic a human. So it's coming from one of our staff members to act like, it's someone really paying attention and it's actually committing to a task. So that's how we use them. It's great. And I think this is the more of these we could use, the less repetitive work our employees have to do, and they could do more creative things.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
From an SEO perspective, what are you guys up to? And we worked together for a while. I'd love to hear what your experience has been for us working together.
It's awesome. No, it's awesome. I mean, you did a whole break. I think you do more than SEO. I think you just you say you do SEO, but you do more. You had strategy for us. You had the type of content we need to make. You looked at what is out there, who are the type of people searching us, so what kind of content we need to produce in order to capture them. So I think you do way more than that. I think you do more of, I looked at it as a marketing proposal more than anything else when you did it for us. And we use that as a basis to even market. Creating those articles, it was, hey, let's think about what are you showed me the Old Spice stuff that they were doing. It was great. They created this whole website around this campaign.
Oh yeah, the flattering man.
Yeah, right. And I think it's two-sided, right? It's SEO to create content so you could kind of capture those positioning points, but it's also just traditional marketing, right? And creating the type of content that attracts people and keeps them engaged. It's great, and it's not just putting a bunch of words in a page hoping that you're on the authority on that topic point. It's great doing it this way, and so that for us was amazingly valuable. So yeah, I think it works out great. And obviously the technical stuff, like the structure of the pages and all those other things, and using all those syntax and the structures that we need to do in order for us to be able to crawl better. I mean, It's perfect. So
Awesome.
our experience was amazing.
Awesome. That's great
But
to
yeah,
hear.
you don't do SEO, you do marketing. So
Yeah, I'm most
well,
known
that's
for my SEO, but yeah, thank you. I do
yes,
see how all the different parts fit together, and
absolutely.
yeah, so
I think it's some effort. That's what it is.
yeah, yeah. And if you don't have remarkable content that is worthy of remark, you really don't have a business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
But sometimes it takes a help to be creative, right? And I think all those suggestions were very creative.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. So, what did I not ask you that I should have in this interview?
oh, what did you not ask me? That's a great question. I feel like I'm so I think we went through everything. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if you didn't ask me something
Okay.
that was. I think you hit all. You know what's gonna happen, right? After the podcast, oh, I should have said this. It's always harder to think of something on the spot.
Yeah, yeah. So if I had to pin you down to share one last pearl of wisdom that you haven't already shared, that's going to make a real difference for our listener, what would that be?
Um, I think I talked about NPS, but I
Yes,
think it's
but only briefly. You did.
yeah, I think so. Customer relationships are important, right? And I think creating those relationships is one key takeaway for me. I think it's more than AI. It's more than the product. I think it's those relationships that gives a human touch to it. And you use AI to kind of cheat yourself to have a better edge over other people, but at the end of the day is having those interaction and having a good wholesome customer I guess experience. I think why Amazon bought Zappos probably, right? Because of how they were fanatical about their customer experience, right? I think that's key. That's what sets you apart. That's what makes people think, this other guy's charging a little less, but I have a great experience with these other guys. So I think that's what for us is the important part, right? And also the ethos of the company,
Yeah.
right?
So about that customer
Yeah.
experience, one thought that I'll share just to piggyback on what you were saying is that a website is something that you do, not something that you view. And this has been true since the web began. A good website is something you do, not something that you view. So if you have a website that's kind of passive brochureware, you're just sitting back and reading page after page of content, that's not a website. That's brochureware, and you're going to
Yeah.
get eaten alive by your competitors.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. Now, if somebody wanted to follow you, or of course, they should totally sign up for Trendy Butler. But if they wanted to sign up, if they wanted to follow what you're up to and some of your musings online, where should we send them to?
So I think first of all, it's trendybutler.com. The second one is I think in our social media, trendy, but well, on Instagram we didn't get it. It's trendy_butler, and on Facebook it's Trendy Butler. And we're actually relaunching the site next with a better blog area. So that's part of our initiatives, and it's going to go through all the things that we found, like sustainability and all our reports. I think that's going to be a great place to see all the content that we're going to be updating there. We've been researching it for a year, so there's tons of content we've been working on. And I think it's going to be a great place to just learn a little bit about what's going on out there.
Okay,
so
cool. And it might be live by the time this episode airs. So
it might be that we just actually made one push, and I think there's another push in our sprint that's coming up on Friday. So
yeah, I think it'll be live by the time that our listeners are listening to this episode. Awesome. Thank you, Ali. This was fabulous.
No, it was amazing speaking with you. It's always great. It always lights up the room when I see you. So it's great.
Oh, thank you.
You have tons of information. I'm an active listener to your podcast too, so learn a lot from you.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. And yeah, you're just doing such innovative things with Trendy Butler and Alfred Intelligent AI, it's really cool what you're up to, and you've got a really future focused sort of business. It's not one that's relying on old trends, but what's coming, and so that's good to see. It's refreshing.
Thank you.